everybody? This is indeed the E-Man. Chill like a villain, sing like Bob Dylan. Keep it on low with some double stuff. Oreos. And man, let me tell you something. Special treat today. Special treat. Okay, so before there was Brandy, before there was Tatiana Ali, before Demi Lovato, and before Ariana Grande, ladies that signed on the TV screen and they did their thing in the studio. Okay, all right. This young lady right here, she has a decades-long career in the entertainment industry on shows like Different Strokes, Silver Spoons, and Bustin Loose. Musically, she has worked with Quincy Jones, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe that. You know, I literally just got finished watching a documentary on Netflix about Quincy Jones. It's crazy. And then in 1989, she came out with her debut album called Don't Rush It. Also, this is really cool. Her and her two sisters formed the trio called She, and they were the first ladies of Shaq's record label, Twism, with their debut album called Three's a Charm. So I am honored, very honored to have on the special delivery show right now, Tyren Perry. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Now, I'm just going to ask this to get this out of the way. Are you related to Tyler Perry?
No, I get that all the time.
Okay.
All the time. Like, I get it all the time. Like, even at one of, like, you know, in between, like, jobs and stuff, you got to work. So I private chef a lot, but I was working at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, and we get uniforms all the time, but they had my name. But my name where the uniforms were was Tyler Perry. So anytime I'd be like, my number's this, and they'd be like, Tyler Perry's here. And I'm like, I'm not Tyler Perry. It's not Tyler Perry. It's Tyren. Till I left there, it was always, all my uniforms were under Tyler Perry. So I hear it all the time. Not a bad thing. I think it's great. Put me in a movie. But yeah.
Absolutely. So you're a chef? How long you been doing this? How long you been cooking?
Professionally, 2009, 2010. So I went and did the stint at the West Hollywood location of Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. And then from there, I prefer to make my own menus for specific people. So I broke off and just started doing private chefing for different, you know, sometimes production companies, sometimes families, just didn't for, you know, whenever there's no work coming in, you got to make money, and I love cooking. So
absolutely. Wow. What's your specialty?
Oh, I like foreign foods. Like I barbecue. I love to barbecue. Like I will get on the grill in a heartbeat. But for me, I like to make, like, my new thing I'm going to try this year is African food, Nigerian food. I want to make specifically, but I love to make Italian, Thai food. I made this really good soba noodle, like faux pot. Like delicious. And I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I was like, I haven't never made this. So for me, it's like a challenge.
All right, on it is you gotta challenge yourself every day.
Mm-hmm.
I just gotta say something real quick. Just get this out the way. I don't know how old you are, and I've been told never to ask a woman's age because that's none of my business. But you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I mean,
very welcome.
If you search, I'm pretty sure you could find it on my thing. You especially, because we're friends on Instagram. So
yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I really thank you for taking your time out today for being on the show.
Well, I wasn't going to say no. You have Scott Pilgrim versus the World behind you, so there was no reason for me to say no. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, really? Gosh, I love this movie. I love it. I've seen it so many times.
But you will be gone.
Yeah. Yes. That is so crazy that you okay. Oh wow, we got a lot to talk about. Okay. So usually with every interview there I do a moment of silence. And recently actor Lance Reddick from The Wire passed away. I'm in silence for him. Thank you. I appreciate that. What do you remember about Lance Reddick? You seem like you're familiar with a lot of his work.
Is that's the actor from, well, I didn't watch The Wire.
Okay.
Is he also from John Wick?
Yes.
I that's my first introduction to him, was the very first John Wick movie, and I loved it. I loved it. So I'm like, when I found out last night, I was like, no, because it's just
Yeah, every hero has an origin story, and I feel like in your life you're your own hero. You know what I'm saying? You're pushing your own narrative forward, and
yeah.
every hero has an origin story. So you were born on the West Coast, right?
Nope, Midwest.
No, mid oh Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what was your childhood like? What was it like growing? I mean, what is some of the things that you remember? Like, what was your favorite cereal? What was your favorite Saturday morning cartoon? What's your childhood like?
Okay, so you list them off, I'll answer them. So for my
Okay,
favorite cereal, no, nobody's gonna understand this. Well, some people will. There was Blueberry, there was
yep,
Count Chocula,
yes,
and Frankenberry. And
uh-huh,
my favorite was Frankenberry and Count Chocula. So
okay,
that was me. That was
nice.
my favorite cereal. And then there's what was the other question? My favorite cartoon?
Saturday morning cartoon.
Bugs Bunny all day, every day to this day.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
that I literally it was so much so that I said when I was like a preteen, I was like, I hope I marry someone that's like Bugs Bunny. And my friends were like,
Nice.
that is crazy. And I'm like, no, he's funny. He's funny. He gets out of jams.
Yes.
He's great. And he's really smart. And in order to be that, to get out of jams, you have to be really smart. So I still
Oh yeah.
adore him.
My favorite episode of of Looney Tunes, well, the one with Bugs Bunny in particular, was like the one where he's trapped on the island with those two guys, and they see him as hot dogs and
And
hamburgers.
chicken legs.
Yes, yes. Like, we're gonna have roast rabbit. We're gonna
We're
have
gonna
roast
have roast
rabbit. Roast
and he
rabbit.
goes, we're gonna have roast.
Yes. Cool.
And he figures out like, okay, it's not really. Yeah, it's so good. That's a really good
So
one. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
yes, and the one where Elmer Fudd and it's like kill the rabbit. You know, and the opera thing. Yeah, I love that one. Yes,
Those are the what do they call them? The merry melodies where they would
yes.
take like classical music and like change the song. I mean, they're so good. One of my favorites is you have to remember this because it was the orange monster that looked like a tooth.
Gothamer, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And he got the rollers and he was like, you gotta sit down, we gotta do your
Yeah,
hair.
yeah, yeah.
Rollers and the curlers in. Let's do your nails. That one, prime time and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about because like the the mad scientist looked like he kind of looked like Steve Buscemi because he's like, yes, master, yes, yeah, yeah. He looked like he looked just like Steve Buscemi. God bless him. But
Does. He
yeah,
really does. And I never thought about that until you said it, but he really does.
yes. What was it like growing up in Illinois?
Ah, from what I remember is because I lived there and then my mom moved. Like we moved. But
Okay.
growing up there was fine. I was always with my cousins and my grandmother, and my mom was singing at the time. So my first time, she's singing her whole life, but my first time on stage was with my mom at 3. And
Oh wow.
it was because my mom sings around the house, always has. And then I would sing with her. It was always Rufus and Chaka Khan playing, or Gladys Knight, and
Yes.
it's a lot of people playing at the same time. And that is how I was just like, oh my gosh, she was singing Rocking Chair. There's a song called Rocking Chair, and I don't know who sings the song. Um, and I only remember the rocking chair, rock me away from here. That song we sang
Right.
together. And she has a picture of it somewhere where I'm just holding her hand with my mic and she's holding hers and I'm singing. She's like, you got a standing ovation. I did. I'm like, oh, I'm 3. I steal it because I'm 3. But
Right.
that was my first like taste of being on stage. And that's when I told her, she was like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to be in there. And it was like the TV. And she's like, so you
Yeah.
want in the TV? I'm like, in there. So she got me like this little wooden piano,
Yeah.
and she would leave it in the laundry room. So I'd go in there and I just whack away on those things all the time. And then she started recording me. So we have a cassette somewhere of like me singing a song about getting good grades in school. And it's very cute. I mean, I'm like, I know I probably drove my mom crazy getting
Right.
notes, but that was just like my whole entire beginning was basically music based, which is it's why to this day I always say that music is like my soundtrack. It's life to me. So it doesn't matter what I go through, there's always a catalog of songs that can address everything. That's why music means so much to me, is because
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't matter who you are, what your language is. We don't have to speak the same language. I will understand what you're trying to say from music. And
Yeah.
to me, that's magic. To me, that's like healing. That's gorgeous. It's like to tell a story with music. That I fell in love with it. And now I'm like, oh, of course you're a teenager, and after you're allowed to date, and then you meet somebody and they don't like you, and I'm like, oh, where's Jodeci? Oh, where? I'm like, it's literally like my life is to
Yeah.
me. So we did that, and then my mom ended up moving. We moved to Kansas with my stepfather because he was in the army, and then my sisters were born, and then because my mom started, her best friend lived in California, so she went out to do work singing on not yeah El DeBarge, Eddie Murphy, because this is the '80s, so I'm like little,
Yeah.
and she would go when I first started when we were in Kansas, and she'd come back. So then she was like, I need to be closer, and then also Tyren wants to be in the TV. So then
Right.
I think we're just going to relocate because everything seems to be there.
Yeah.
And everybody was kind of like, you're crazy for doing it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're going all the way out there. You don't know what's going to happen. Don't do it. She's like, I'm doing it. And it wasn't even a month. I think it was a couple weeks where my mom had been working in the studio, but I started doing stuff. Like I got extra work like within 2 weeks of being there. And then after that, she was like, literally took all three of us, well, me and my two sisters, on a bus, two different agencies, and dropped off Polaroids, because back in the day, you could drop off
Right.
a Polaroid. You didn't need a headshot. Like they want to
Okay.
see raw. So she dropped off headshots, and then she ended up getting like different phone calls from different agents, one of which was very ridiculous. I still remember that one. But I ended up going with two women who were in like Burbank, and they ended up being my agent. And then that's when I landed Different Strokes and Silver Spoon. And then Different Strokes called back, and they said, we want her to come back for two more episodes if you don't mind. And then I did Silver Spoons, and then I think they got canceled before that, but it was like I did True Colors, and I started off with one episode, and they're like, well, have you come back for some more episodes? And as we see fit, we'll just keep writing you into the episodes. So I ended up being, I think, in two or three of those as
Okay.
well. So
Wow.
yeah, it was a lot. But there was an agent that we went to, and it totally not like now. And he was very offensive. I don't
Mm.
even remember his name, but we sat there and he started off like he was just, I remember him being like very stoic, which is fine. But he was like, what is she? And I'm like, huh? What? And my mom's like, what do you mean? What is she? She's
Wow.
black. He's like, she's not black. And she was like, she's black. No, she's not black. Proceeds to open his drawer and pulled out other pictures of other girls and was like, this is black. This is black. This is black. She's not black. What is she? And she went, okay, we're done. You have a nice day. And we left. He called her the next day. I really would like to sign her. And she was like, no, thank you.
Wow.
We're somewhere else. Thank you. So it was like, I didn't know, like, I didn't have the eyes of that's what people do. So I was sitting there like, why is he talking? I'm like 10, 11
Yeah.
years old. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like, I don't know what you mean. And now when I look back on it, I was like, that was the industry. There were some people that were just, they didn't know what it was. How are we gonna, he said, I need to know what she is in order to market her. And I don't know what she is. Is she Spanish? Is she this? Is she that? I have to know. Now fast forward to now. No, you don't. You never did.
Mm.
You never had to know.
Wow. That was really insensitive. He could have asked it in a different way. Like he's like, so what is your ethnicity? Or
It
something.
it was the way he approached my mom with it, but it was also the pictures that he pulled out, his
Right.
idea and what he was constituting as black. I was like, I can look at it now and say, you had no idea who we are. Basically, if
Yeah.
that's what you know, and that's how you see everything. We're all, it's, you can't pinpoint us, you can't put us in the little dot.
Right. Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. So I love movies and music. I love movies and music. You see the Scott Pilgrim poster, we talked
Yeah.
about that. I believe, this is my belief, I believe your favorite movies, your favorite songs, right? I believe they were meant for you. You know, I believe those things were like they find you and you find it. You know what I mean? I really believe in that, and I believe that you can use these things, these tools of joy and nostalgia as tools in the
Mhm.
present time to push you forward to the future. I really believe in that. So I want to know, like, as a kid, what were some of your favorite artists, songs, movies that inspired you to really, really become an actor and actress and a
Yeah,
musician?
this is cool because these are all my happy good memories. Okay, so you're gonna think it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Okay,
go
so
for it.
so I spent a lot of time, not a joke, as far as TV shows that made me want to be in the TV. The
Yes,
Incredible Hulk, Starsky and Hutch, Fantasy Island, Wonder Woman.
yes.
Those are, and the Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes
I
of
don't
Hazzard,
know
yes.
why I love the Dukes of Hazzard. And when I look back on it now, I'm like, Tyren, do you even know who Boss Hogg was? Like, what were you doing?
I mean,
I
we were kids.
We were kids, and it was
Yes.
great. So those were the TV shows, and then music. When I was younger, I'm going to be a little bit older for this because I loved Bootsy when I was younger. Bootsy Collins, I loved him,
Mm-hmm.
still do. And there was when I got older, it was the DeBarges,
Yeah, of
Michael Jackson,
course.
Prince,
Yes.
Culture Club,
Yes.
Madonna. But Madonna came later. But the other El DeBarge, this is so embarrassing. I don't listen to her anymore. But for some reason, I liked Melissa Manchester.
Melissa Manchester?
Not bad. She's not bad at all. But if you look at my spectrum of music now,
Mm-hmm.
she does not fit. But I don't know what it was. I think it was like one song that I liked, that I was just like, and I don't even remember what the song was. But I know my stepfather was like, you do know she listens to El DeBarge and Michael Jackson and everybody else. And then all of a sudden, here comes one Melissa Manchester song. She was like, just leave her alone. Is a song she likes.
Yeah.
Let it be. It was always like it wasn't like it was a bad thing. He thought it was funny. Like he was like, all this other music. And then all of a sudden, Melissa Manchester. But there was also Crystal Gale. This is country music. I'm going to blame
Yes.
it on living in Kansas.
Ain't
I think
nothing
it
wrong
had
with
some,
that.
I think it has something to do with that. It's nothing wrong. Crystal Gale is still great.
Yeah.
Linda Ronstadt,
Yes.
in Kansas. So, and then as far as wanting to be in music, it pretty much was Michael Jackson, Prince, and the DeBarges. And my mother, because my mom was already singing on albums and stuff with her, singing with Eddie Murphy and other people. And I was like, yep,
Wow.
yep. Like she toured with Chaka Khan, and I was like, we grew up singing to get, my mom would be walking around the house cleaning it, singing Chaka Khan, and then she ended up going on tour with her.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, she was on tour singing background for El DeBarge, but then she ended up, Chaka Khan was on the same tour. So for my mother, it was like,
Wow.
great. It's great.
Wow, that is insane. Like I've mentioned in like previous interviews, and I always make reference to this because I believe, like, first of all, it's the truth. Um, when I first saw the Motown anniversary special, the 25th anniversary special where Michael Jackson first moonwalked, right? As a kid, I didn't understand how the significance in that. I'm like, okay, he's just walking backwards. That's what I thought as a kid. And I was like, well, it's cool. But what happened the next day in my neighborhood, I felt a shift in energy. Like there was such an excitement in the air from that one moment because it's like music history taking place. It really felt like the day before Christmas.
Yeah,
Like,
it was really like, it was like a big, huge gift.
yeah,
It was like, you're right. The change of energy is exactly what it was.
yeah. it was like, I remember, like, it was like almost an overnight thing. Like, I went to school, kids had Michael Jackson buttons. I'm like, where you get these buttons from? Like, it's just, it was crazy. And
I
I
love
just,
jackets,
and
the red and black jackets.
yeah, the Thriller jackets. And then like, I think months later after that, that's when the Thriller video came out, and that was
Yes. Yes.
huge. That was huge. I mean, like, I mentioned that because it's the truth, but I mentioned that because I just want to give props to him, because he wasn't just an artist, he was an innovator. He was like, you wouldn't have a lot of these artists if it wasn't for him. You know what I mean? And
Just
so I
about to
always
say
mention
that
him.
he led the way for a lot of what we listen to right now. There are more than a few artists who they were inspired by Michael Jackson.
For
And it's
sure.
like, of course you were. Like, my mother made Grammys and the other American Music Awards. That was our party night. Like, she would be like, okay, it's coming on. We'd have our snacks, everything. It was like concert time for us.
Yes.
But also study time, because my mom was very much um, about, if someone's really good at what they do, you need to study. You need to study what they are doing, not copy, because there's a big difference.
Yes.
You study the greats. You don't imitate them. You study them, see what their work ethic is like, see how they're, especially when it came to vocals. Because the minute Whitney Houston came on the scene, I was done. Like,
Wow. Yeah.
everything Whitney Houston, and I was in the zone. But like, it was like she was singing to me, even though of course she's singing to a man, but I was like, that and my mom, I just need those two. Because all my other singers that I listened to for that were males. Stevie Wonder, El DeBarge, all of those were like, I studied them. And then
Yeah.
I was very limited with the women because I had my mom. So then I was like, if anybody sings and they can same level as my mom, and I was like, Whitney Houston, yeah. Then Celine Dion. Then it's just like, there's so many people that, and Michael Jackson's just there will never be another one.
Thank you for saying that, because I hate when you mention Celine Dion. I just want to say something real quick. Did you see that absurd top 100 Rolling Stone list, and they didn't even have Celine Dion on that list?
I don't listen to Rolling Stone. They never do things correctly. I learned back in the 90s to never trust what they say when it comes to music, because you obviously don't have your ear to the streets. You
They didn't.
obviously aren't listening to the same thing, because they gave props to other people that were not, like, I was like, in my opinion, just from my taste, I was like, that's not on the level. Like, and if you lived back then, everybody had her songs everywhere.
Yeah.
How are you going to say she's not on the list for top 100? What?
She wasn't on the list. Michael was like at like an absurd, like he was like at 68. Steve Perry from Journey was at like 70. I'm like, what the heck?
Like,
Come
another one
on.
of the voices. That's another voice. Who is at the top?
Oh, I I well, I know Whitney was up there. They had to have Whitney. 80s Whitney is trumps a lot of come on. But I can't remember, but yeah, I know Freddie Mercury was like top 10, which I can appreciate.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't remember the other one. But they didn't even have Celine Dion on the list, which I thought was absurd.
Yeah,
Um,
very much. Very much. That's crazy to me.
I was on Facebook, and you did like a trivia question where you sang the theme song to Three's Company, and you're trying to get people to guess which show it was from. You were like, come and knock on my door, take a step that is new, hers and his, and people would like guessed at the bottom, but that it was
Oh,
Three's Company. I knew from the get-go. Wasn't that a great show though? I mean, really, John Ritter was
that's another
hilarious.
one. As a, like, all the stuff I told you, it is just progression of age. When I was at around that age when it came out, all the time, I thought I thought that Jack Tripper was the most hilarious man during
Yes.
that show. Like, it was, his comedy was perfect.
Yeah, like he was next level. I was really, really sad when he passed away.
Mhm. And that
But
was
when you
sudden death too.
Yeah, yeah. But when you talk about great, television sitcom theme songs, Different Strokes is definitely one of them.
Oh,
And you you were on that show from 84 to 86. And this is why I said I was just so mind blown. 2 weeks ago, I did an interview with Sean Weiss. He was actor from the Mighty Ducks, right?
Okay.
And so in the Mighty Ducks, there was also another Mighty Duck named Aaron Lore who was on Bustin Loose, right? And I was like, that theme song has been in my head for ages. I mean, like in the intro, and then so like and when I watched the intro on YouTube, I said, I wonder what I wonder what Tyron's up to nowadays. And then I just started doing the research, and then this rabbit hole, and I was like, she was on Different Stroke. I didn't make the connection. I'm like, you had the hearts on the. I remember all of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, she was, because I had a crush on you. I was like, oh my gosh, she was so cute. I said, and it just totally blew my mind. I was just like, yeah, oh my gosh, man. So you play two different characters. You play Phyllis and Jennifer. And when you were on that show,
anybody even knew the difference, really.
Really?
Nobody ever mentioned, oh, when you were Phyllis, oh, when you were Jennifer. It was just, I think everybody that ever mentioned seeing me always mentioned Jennifer. Phyllis, I believe, was the very first one that I was in, and then I became Jennifer for the other ones. Or Phyllis was the last one, I believe.
Yeah.
Robin Gibbons played my sister.
So yes, that's right. And so, like, I wanted to know, like, and I had this conversation with my barber. Is like, I was like, they don't. I sound old saying this, but they don't make shows like that anymore because they really don't. And I remember the episode when Willis got jumped by Arnold's bullies, and he had to get stitches, and like the anxiety I had, I was like, oh my god, they're leaving. I'm like, the to be continued. I was freaking out. Like, is Willis okay? So
so many episodes that were like that. Remember the episode with the strange man that was like
the bicycle guy?
Yes.
That gave me nightmares.
Same. Yeah. I was like, no. No, like I because you're little and you're just like, what is going on? But they did have topics, they had topics that were actually informative for kids, but actually nightmarish for us as well. But it was a good message.
Yes.
I don't think you can ever come up with anything that will be like that show. You can try it, and the stories were good. Like, is as crazy as some of the stuff in the stories were, the topics were good, like they were necessary.
Yeah, like wow, I can go on and on, but I just wanted to know, like, what was it like? How did you get that? What was the audition like for that show? And what was it like working with Todd Bridges and Gary Coleman? That's crazy.
Funny thing is, me and my sisters took acting classes from Todd Bridges' mother, Betty Bridges, for a while. Like, I think it was before or after. I think it was after. But we took classes with her. So the audition process was like a normal audition process, but because it was Different Strokes, it was a cattle call. And in case people don't know what a cattle call is, it means you're getting to an audition and they're auditioning for the role of who's going to be his girlfriend. And there's probably 25 to 30 girls in the hallway right now waiting to go in, because they do 10-minute blocks or however many long blocks. And so you're waiting around. And so I went outside because I never really stayed inside. It's just my personality. I was like, I'll be in there for a minute. But my mom was always like, it's too crowded. And, if you get the nerves, the energy in the room, my mom was very much like, let's go sit somewhere where you're still calm, you're whatever. And then when it's time for you, once we see more people coming out, we'll go in and check and see how far we have to go. So the audition process was normal. You get the first audition, then you get a callback, and then if they like you again, you might get a third callback. And I went on all 3 callbacks, and then they called my agent and they were like, no, we want her, because I was new. Like, so my resume didn't have much of anything but the movie Trancers that I was an extra on. And if anyone's ever seen Trancers, you'll see me for like a hot second in the mall with my mom, like literally with my actual mom, running from the Santa Claus, because we were there to see Santa Claus, but Santa Claus, Trancers was about people getting overtaken by aliens. So he literally started changing while he was talking to kids. And so we all took off running. You'll see me. That's all that was on my resume. And they didn't care. So I was like, yes, because I'm one step closer to being in the TV. So then when I got it, it was fun. It was fun. I ended up being friends with Alyssa Milano for a few years until we lost touch because Hollywood, I'm sure it still had its whatever. But I was a part of Hollywood that the kids who were on all the shows,
Yeah.
they knew. There could be other reasons. I don't know. But we would have like our own award ceremony for everyone who was on different sitcoms.
Yeah.
Their own award show for the preteens and the teens and the kids. So we'd go in, we'd have a dinner, they'd have dinner for us, and then they'd do the ceremony, and they'd be like, the best of this, this, and this for this year. And it's the room full of all the kids who are on all the different channels just hanging out. Once we ate, got our awards, then they brought a DJ out, and we could all just dance. So there would be Alyssa Milano, other people, just all kinds of people that were in movies and TV that were young. So we would hang out there. And because I did Different Strokes and Silver Spoon, Who's the Boss filmed on the same lot. So me and Alyssa Milano during our breaks would hang out while like the guys like Todd Bridges and other people from other different shows would be playing basketball with each other.
Yeah.
And me and her would just sit on the side of the court and we would just have girl talk. Like, me and her, it's really silly because our conversation that we became like cool with each other and we saw each other at this another not a competition, but it was like a show where we and she was one of the judges. So we stayed tight for about like 3 years. We'd see each other on and off. But our first conversation was literally about if we were allowed to shave like our arms and our armpits. That was how we started talking.
Whoa.
Because we were kids. And it was like, are you allowed to shave? I wasn't. So I was like, I'm not allowed to shave my arms. She's like, no, I shave mine because I'm Italian. You know, I can take it off. It's fine.
Yeah. And Alyssa Milano was one of my crushes too. Oh my God. Okay. So okay.
When I was a kid, I thought she was my one of my favorites. Her and Drew Barrymore. I like them. I didn't meet Drew Barrymore.
Okay. No. Wow. Okay. Because
I would have flipped out again.
As a watcher, as a spectator of television, we think, I'm gonna speak for myself. As a spectator, I don't think that my idea is like, okay, you guys meet each other just through charity events, or you guys might meet each other with like a Circus of the Stars television programming or something like that. We don't think that you got, I never thought that you guys actually hang out behind the scenes. You guys see each other. And I kind of come to that when there's this documentary called Kid 90, which is directed by Soleil Moon Frye, who was Punky Brewster. Did you see it? I was
like, this is exactly what was going on. Like I wasn't allowed to go to the other parties, like because that was later at night with other kids. My mom was like, you can go to the ones that are made by the other people, but not that one. So I didn't go to that. But yes, that's exactly what it was. When I did Bustin Loose, we were on which is now I can't remember what it is right now, but it's in Burbank out here.
Yeah.
And there's a studio there. And I'm saying it because we switched one of the studios. They changed the name to Burbank Studios, and so I'm not trying to confuse that. But in between those shows, Lisa Bonet was filming down on one side. Charles in Charge was filming on the other side.
Wow.
So he had lunch breaks. It was all of us. So I got to see Lisa Bonet, Lenny Kravitz. Like we all had our trailers were right next to each other. So when Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz were actually still together, that's when I actually got to meet her. And there was just, we all were hanging out together. Scott Baio used to hang out with all the rest of us. We'd either go to the commissary and we'd all get our food and eat there sometimes, but then just hung out where the courts were in between shows because you can't be on the set the whole day, you'll go crazy. So some people would leave, but most of us would just stay around. And what are you gonna do? You hang out, you play basketball, you play music, with your trailer door open, and people just hang out. Not a big deal. I don't know if it's still like at that studio like that, but it was very much chill city.
Wow.
Working all the time, and then they come out and they just hang out.
What was it like working with Gary?
He was very nice. He was very nice. The only, and I've told this story before, but I don't know, he wanted a real kiss in the show. And I was like, I've never kissed anybody. So I don't know if I want to do that on TV first. Like, it's like, Sure. So they ended up talking to all of us, and it ended up being, well, you could get a kiss on the cheek. Kiss on
Nice.
the cheek works. And I was like, works for me. Very sweet. He was very, very nice. We all,
Awesome.
we all, we literally, this is so nerdy. We all hung out, and the game we played sometimes in the middle was Trivial Pursuit.
Cool. 87 to 88, you were on this show called Bustin Loose. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Bustin Loose was like loosely based off the movie with Richard Pryor.
Mm-hmm. It was
Uh-huh.
supposed to be the show rendition of the actual movie. So
Okay.
based on that storyline.
And Jimmy Walker, who was of course on Good Times, he played the lead. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, Aaron Lohr from the Mighty Ducks and Newsies played your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've had that song in my head for years. I remember the intro where Aaron does a backflip, and I feel like around.
He
I
does
feel
a
like
big backflip.
oh, that's
Yeah.
not him.
No, he does it. He
Oh,
does it, but he goes back, but you never see him flip over because he's trying to get it right. He's trying to get it right. And Jimmy Walker's like, stop.
okay.
Just it's like the theme was funny because it was like all of the annoyances that he would have from each individual kid were
Yeah.
shown in that moment. For me, it was more like that, but I love my music. I need my shoulder showing. For for the younger girl, it was more like she was just hyper. So
Right.
therefore, he was like, I'm worn out. That's why at the end you see him laying down and she's on his back, like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm tired, but I'm not. So, and then Larry Williams, he was the bookworm. So there was like all of us had this different stuff. Oh, I forgot to say the little girl's name is Marie Lynn Wise. She's not a little girl anymore.
Right.
Yes.
That's,
So
like, well, okay. So with the intro, was it your idea to have on headphones, have a Walkman? Because having Walkmans was a big deal back in the day.
they asked me if I wanted to, they were like, what would you like to do? We have this idea where, and I forget one of them, but when the minute they were like, we would like to see you if you would dance with like your headphones on and be in your own world and doing whatever, but you have your shoulder off. So you got to be like moving your shoulder. And for me, I was like, I used to get in trouble for that in real life. Let's do it. Because Cher was another one that I loved when I was a little girl, and she
Oh
always had.
yeah.
So I was like, I want to have my, and I remember my mom going, put your t-shirt back over your shoulder. We're not going to do the shoulder outlet.
Wow.
Not doing that. And so for when they said that, I was like, yes, I could do that. That works for me. So that's how that ended up.
For what was the audition process with that, and what was it like working with Jimmy and the rest of the cast?
The audition process for Bustin Loose, they're always typically the same. They're the same.
Mm.
They you go in, you audition, and then I believe a lot of auditions you'll go in, you'll do your part, but sometimes they'll have you come in with the other actors that they're deciding on, like if they're in the opposite role, like say if it was Aaron Lohr or Larry or whatever, they'll have you come in and read a scene with them just to see if the chemistry is right. So it was the normal audition process for that. There was not really anything too much different. Working on the set was great. That's where I learned how to knit and crochet from one of the from the script supervisor.
Nice.
She was crocheting, and I'm like, "You're making a blanket." Because anything that's creative, I'm like, "You just made something with yarn. I want to know." So I literally, on my breaks, I would sit with her, and she'd teach me how to knit and crochet. And then I went home and taught my sister how to do the same thing. I was like, "We can make blankets."
Wow.
So
That
we would hang out, or because we had school. So once we were done with school for the day, or we would literally just hang out backstage and just
wow.
talk or get on each other's nerves because we were all very young. So that's typical. Like we were around each other all the time. So you'd be fine. And then sometimes you'd be like, you get on my nerves, and you get on my nerves too.
So you guys are really brother and sister arguing like that. That's so cool.
It wasn't like it wasn't even an argument. It was just very much like we're kids.
Yeah.
We're all hanging out. We were very cool with each other. I will say that cast, we all were super connected. Like even when we had the show, what is it? We had we got picked up for a season 2.
Okay.
So we were supposed to have a season 2, but we didn't end up doing that because it's a story. It's like, but you will. Should I tell it? I'm like, should I tell it?
Wherever you feel compelled to tell.
Okay, so my mom was sick, and I'm on the set, and I'm working, and you have school, right? So my mom was really, really sick, but she still brought me to the set and was in my trailer sleeping because she was not feeling well.
Right.
Me, I am not the kind of person, I just have never been that. Like, if anyone close to me, family, friends, whatever, I don't care, strangers even. I was like, okay, we're not doing anything that I'm in the classroom at that moment. I had finished what I needed to do on my sheet, and I was like, I need to go to the craft table to get my mom, bring her some hot water for some tea.
Yes.
And a bagel for her to eat because she's been asleep since she brought me here, and she probably should be eating something.
Right.
School teacher was not always very nice, and she was like, no, you're going to stay here. You're not going. And I went, I'm going to, and not trying to be a brat, but at this point, I finished my sheet. I need to go check on my mom. So I'm going to go get her some orange juice. And no, if you leave out of the door, there's going to be things. This is why I said we were very close, is because I said, I need to check on my mom. I don't care if you want to tell anybody on me. I have to go check.
Absolutely, yeah.
So she gets really mad because I left out. And she pitched a fit. And my the other co-star, Larry Williams, was like, this is not okay. The one who played the brother, he was like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
If I have a problem with her seeing her mother, I'm going to go see my mom too. And he left. And he went to his mother's trailer. And he was like, there's nothing wrong with my mother, but he's like, you're not going to tell me I'm not going to see my mother either. So it became a big deal. And she basically said to the producers that she wanted me gone. She's a school teacher. And they wanted me gone.
Wow.
So they wanted me gone, so they said no more. And then they went back to the network. And the network was like, so we're ready for season 2. And they said, okay, season 2 is not going to have Tyren Perry on it. What do you mean? What do you mean you're not going to have her on it? And they were like, well, then if she's not on it, we want the entire cast the way that it was, or we're not taking it. And so it never went to season 2.
Wow.
That one thing. That's the only reason why we didn't have, because our ratings were great.
Yeah.
Were great. And I have, to this day, I have no idea why that woman felt it so necessary that I stayed in the classroom and I didn't check on my mom, but my work was done. I don't need to know. All I know is, like, in that situation, I would do it all over again. Like, to think about it. Those things, like, I look at those things because as much as I love the show and it did hurt, I had 2 moments in my life that were like that. One was with my record deal, and one was with the show, with Bustin Loose. And it was out of my control. I can't do anything about it. I mean, I guess the only part that was in my control is that I could have listened to the teacher and sat there with my paper waiting for whatever else to happen. I could have done that. But then me thinking, my mom's still going to be in the trailer, really sick. She's a single mom. There was no one else to bring me, so I'm going to make sure she's okay. So I'm not, it worked out. Devastating as a child, but every single thing that we go through is some lesson. That's just my belief.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't believe we're here to fart around. I believe that this is a classroom and that we get hit with challenges as like testing moments, but not in a malicious way. It's more like it's for your growth. It's for wisdom. It's for whatever. You can attain the things that you want to attain. But you have to remember at the same time, if you don't get the things that you're wanting, there's a reason for it. It's either for your protection, or there's some type of lesson in the middle of it. And for me, I think, because I was so young and I didn't do anything about it, it's more of a lesson to look at the behavior of certain individuals.
Yeah.
Also a lesson of, are you going to stand up for what you believe in?
Yes.
Going to let someone tell you put your beliefs aside and just do what I say. So for me in that moment, it didn't matter. I do it again. Now for the record deal, that was out of my control as well. Right. But it was something that I needed to go through. It was like heartbreaking. That one was really heartbreaking because, you know, music.
Yes.
That one was really hard. But then fast forward, I ended up with a deal with my sisters. We ended up doing shows and stuff. And then you fast forward again, it's like, do we really need record labels?
Not nowadays.
No. So it's like it wasn't something that hurt me per se. Of course, I'm not sitting over here being a household name like everybody else. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is what message do I bring later? Like, of course, yeah, you did a lot. I did a lot of great stuff. I have a lot of great stuff planned that just hasn't come out. And the reason why it hasn't come out is because you have to grow. And there was a time period when that stuff happened that I kind of felt a little more insecure in who I was to a certain degree. I was young. You're 15. You don't know.
Right.
You take it on like it's me. It's something I did. There was nothing I did. It wasn't my fault. Like, no. And I was dressed before I was supposed to do. My next album was supposed to be with Teddy Riley. So I really was devastated. Like,
oh my goodness.
The record label was like, we want like 4 songs at least with Teddy Riley. And I was like, my album's going to sound like the bomb. I'm gonna be dancing everywhere. And then it was like, and I was like, what am I? And it was never that serious because me and my sisters ended up doing a show with Blackstreet and Teddy Riley was right there.
Nice.
So he ended up meeting me anyway. And he ended up complimenting our group. So it was like, you didn't lose out on anything. It's just that one thing was like, okay, but lessons.
Absolutely. I believe in that too. I believe, like, you know, in the short time that I've been doing this, some people will flake out, and you just got to learn how to pivot. You got to believe, like, when one door closes, another one opens, you know, and I dig what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes those doors close for a very specific reason, and it's not our job to try to force it open because you don't know what's behind the door. So just let it stay closed.
Exactly. Now, in doing my research, this is something that really, really completely blew my mind. So I'm a Ghostbusters fan. I love the Ghostbusters 1 and 2. When I tell you, like, I'm a Ghostbusters fanatic. So the real Ghostbusters, which was the cartoon on Saturday morning, or sometimes it'll play after school. You and another Yonya Townsend did all of the music on that soundtrack. Let me paint people a picture, okay? Real Ghostbusters was a cartoon based off the movie. The reason why they call it the Real Ghostbusters is because there was another cartoon called Ghostbusters, which was made by Filmation, which is the same people who did He-Man, and they had to call it the Real Ghostbusters for that reason. The voice talent on that cartoon was incredible. Dave Coulier, which you on Out of Control. You on that episode of Out of Control with Dave Coulier, right?
I believe so. I did a few things when I was younger that it was really quick that I was like, done with that one. Next one. I probably did. So yes.
Yeah, Dave Coulier, he did the voice of Peter Venkman. Arsenio Hall did the voice of Winston. Frank Welker, who's a voice actor, he's done a lot of stuff. But when I realized, I'm like, hold on, so you guys would do the songs, like the in-between songs, like when they were busting the ghost. And I remember those songs vividly.
Especially they would play you the music through the whole cartoon without the vocals. But when it came down to them catching whatever it was that they needed to catch, that's when they dropped the song and you hear the vocals, you hear the lyrics, and they always matched with the episodes because the producer for that album, Ollie E. Brown, is the same one that did my album. So what happened, I auditioned to be in Tahiti. Well, we picked the name after. He wanted to he needed 2 girls for a soundtrack for the Real Ghostbusters. So I went in, sang a song, talked to him, that was it. Then I guess other people came in for the day and he was like, you and another girl, and then we both came in and we hung out and sung. And he was like, this is great. What do you want to call yourselves? We called ourselves Tahiti. And that was it. And the reason why we did is because I don't know why, but back in the day, I was like, I want to go to Tahiti. I want to see. And Tanya was like, you know what? That's not a bad point. I like Tahiti too. So that's how that happened. But every song from the soundtrack, we knew what the episodes were going to be. So our producer would have lyrics already taken care of that were based on the actual show. So that's why when that one ghost was in the electricity, And
Yes.
you remember that one? And the song is "Let Me Charge You Up," because it's about the electricity ghost.
Right.
Made it into like "Our love will go forever," and that's like you have to make it into a romantic song. You could hear it on the radio, but it's really about the electricity ghost. So
Wow.
all of them were like, we knew each episode because they gave our producer a list. So that's how we did it.
So did you ever get to meet any of the behind the scenes voice talent of that show or no? Okay.
But we did all of our stuff first.
Okay.
And I guess we did our stuff and they were already off on their side doing all of the actual voice acting.
Wow. Dang. That's crazy. That's
I
crazy.
believe on the Ghostbusters soundtrack, I believe my sisters are on there singing somewhere too on one of the songs.
Wow.
There's a group of kids. It's my sisters, but they were little.
And that's another thing I didn't realize. Like your sister was on Family Matters. She played Judy Winslow. Her name is Jamie Foxworthy. I was like, wow, this is crazy. It's like the connections. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
And
Jamie Foxworthy is my sister.
Wow, that's crazy. And you guys, along with your other sister,
Jania.
Jania, and you guys formed a group called She. Now, She was signed by Shaquille O'Neal, which he had a label called Twism, which was part of Interscope, right?
Yes.
And now this is the burning question I have. Were you guys singing background on Can't Stop the Rain? Was that you guys singing background?
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. I love that song.
Jania singing, I think the majority on that one, but yes, that's us.
So who's doing the? Who's doing that part?
That would be, you mean the ad libs? That would be Jania. Like you can't stop the rain.
Yes.
And my sister would sing when it starts to fall. When it starts to fall.
Wow.
She was, yes.
But there's somebody there's when Shaq is rapping, there's a part there's somebody in the background going, is that nice? Okay, so how did this all come about? Like the group and everything.
Okay, so what happened with that is, like I said, everything's a roller coaster, and you got crashes and booms, but then you got the good stuff. So yes. I was doing sessions a lot, which basically was if there are songwriters who have a song and they want it to be sent to a record label in just to see if they would like one of their artists to sing it, in order for them to stop the song to the record label, they need to present it right, like a done project. So they would call me in to do certain songs. So I did a ton of songs for Selena for her English album before she was murdered. So those songs never got done. I did a couple of songs there was a couple of tracks that they sent to like Celine Dion that I did. These are all different producers. So I spent about a good year and a half, 2 years, like doing different sessions with different writers so that they could present their songs to labels to see if other artists would pick them up. And they did. Right. Tamia did one of the songs that I had done as one of those things. I can't remember the name of it. I have my old version somewhere, and it's on a cassette tape, so it's gone. I don't know what I play it on, but
was it "You Make a Move on My Heart" or was that the song?
No, it was later. Okay, that was her first album. So the song I did was, I think, for the next album, I believe. But then I did also. So what happened was, while I was doing the sessions, my mom got a call from another producer and was like, there's Antonina Armato, who's like really big with the Disney singers right now. She does a lot of their stuff right now. It's like she's looking for a girl group. Well, she needed somebody to sing a song first. That was the first thing. She's putting songs that she's trying to pitch. So I went in to do that song. I sang it, it was finished, and she's like, do you know any other girls that sing? Because I'm trying to start a girl group. And I didn't really. I said, I know my sisters. And she was like, you have sisters? And I'm like, yeah. And we all sing. And she was like, perfect. I'd like to meet you all. Have your mom call me. let's sit down, have you guys sing so I can hear it. And after that, that was it. That's literally how it happened. I went in to do another session song, and that ended up being I Need a Group. That's how that happened. And then we ended up going in the studio for that album and recording that and doing some. We did a couple of. I think we did a music video with Shaq and his other male group, because there was us, we were She, and then they had another male group, and we ended up being in his Straight Playing video.
Okay.
Watch Shaquille O'Neal Straight Playing video, you'll see me and my sisters, because it was the 90s, and you know you got to do that slow motion dancing.
Yeah.
And you'll see us, and then you'll see the male group, and then you'll see Shaq. So all of us were in that. That was basically to introduce his artists.
Right.
So that's how that played. That's how that got started. And working with Shaq was fun. Like our first meeting, he was like, you guys are really tiny. And like one day he like took off his shoe and he's like, put your foot in the shoe so I can show you how tiny you are. And I was like, my foot, and in my family, I have the biggest feet. I do. I have the biggest feet. I mean, I'm a size 8. So to me, in my family, they're all 6. They're 6.5 feet. Tiny feet. So I put my foot in his shoe, and my foot was only at the part where the toes are. Like, it was like, it went like from the toes to not, like barely where the lace.
Wow.
I was like, and he was like, yeah, you're little. And I was like, I can't help it. So he would always like joke around with us. It was very, very sweet, very nice, very protective too. So it was a good situation. It wasn't bad. And the only reason why we didn't do another album was because it was one of those through the cracks distribution things, had nothing to do with the artist,
right?
Nothing with us at all. It happens. Like there are people like Money Long, her sitting on record label shelves forever. That's normal. Like, and she comes out years later and she has hours and hours and she's winning awards for it. But before that, she was already a songwriter and an artist herself, and they just shelved everything she did. And it's not her fault. It's just what they would do. And then come tax season, they'll write it off. So
you said Money Love?
Money Long.
Money Long, okay.
Mm-hmm. Money Long. And I love her. I think she's great, but her story is great too. It's literally what it is. Like you could have an album out. We were blessed, or blissed, if you want to say. We were blessed to have our album come out because there are other people who literally worked just as hard and their stuff went on the shelf. And then when it came time for the year to end, they got dropped, which is hard on any artist if that's what you really want to do. But we had a blast. Like we had fun. We had Biggie at our first show, to meet Biggie. Like it was
wow.
I talked to Jay-Z before it was one of the big songs, before his first big song came out. Like they were all at the show.
Wow.
All at our first show, the show that we did with Shaq, where he was like, and these are my artists here. He literally did a show where he's like, first half is going to be my girl group, second half is going to be my guy group, and then it's going to be me at the end with Jay-Z, Biggie. Everybody was on the stage. It was amazing. Like we had T-Boz in the audience. There was a whole bunch of people in the audience, and we were in the
This is crazy.
One of these really, really fun things, because to me, performing on stage and just doing music, that's home. That's home.
Yeah.
And it was great memories. Really great. But we have
memories
to make. We are making more.
Absolutely. Man, that's so what was Biggie? What was he like?
It was very nice. He was very nice. We didn't hang out with him.
Okay.
Met him first because he was, I don't know, I think we were getting clothes or something, and he was going to be at the show like the next day. So we like stopped and just peeked our head in his big SUV, and we were like, hi, how are you? And then we kept going. And then after the show, they were all there. I remember talking to Jay-Z for like maybe a couple minutes. I didn't know who he was because he wasn't out yet. So
was this like before? This was like around Reasonable Doubt, or was this like the Hard Knock Life Volume 2 Jay-Z?
This was like 96.
So that's Hard Knock Life Volume 1 Jay-Z, I think. Wow, that's crazy.
Mhm.
So you're a mom. How has being a mom changed your life?
Let's see. In the best of ways, my daughter, I had her in 97, and it was right around like we did our photo shoot for the album, so it was really weird time. So a lot of the stuff that you see, like the straight playing video, I'm pregnant, but you can't tell.
Wow.
I'm pregnant. Like they didn't
I'm
want me to hold the snake, and I was like, I'm holding the snake because DJ was there and he brought his constrictor, and I was like, snake, I need to hold the snake, and they were like, you're pregnant, you can't hold the snake, and I'm like, and so I walked around with the snake for a minute, and my mom was just too paranoid. She's like, the baby. She was fine. But I had her, and it was like, everybody says it. They're like, your whole life changes.
yeah.
For me, I literally sat there staring at her like for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, to where my mom was like, are you okay? Okay. And I'm like, she looks like me. It's just the weirdest thing in the world. You're like, you see someone that's not you who looks like you, and then you know what you actually look like. So it was like, this is trippy. It's trippy, but I don't want to, like, people say, I'm not sure. My daughter is my best friend, but not in the sense of she's my best friend where, as a parent, I was like, she's my best friend, she can do what she wants. No,
No.
there are rules and there are limits. But I am a big believer in, we don't have to continue things that go generations and generations back. So
Yeah.
I very much, and I let her know this straight up, I didn't care. Like I was like, I'm going to make mistakes. When she could understand, like when she was 3, I was like, you can tell me anything as long as you're respectful. If mommy does anything mean, you can say, mommy back to me.
Right.
I may not know it, but I'm not going to do everything right. So I wanted to make sure there was open communication with our relationship from the very beginning. And I needed her to know that I'm your mom, but I was also a kid.
Yeah.
So it's my first time with my own kid. So if I am doing something that if I mean, or if I do anything or say anything that hurts your feelings, please tell me. As long as it's respectful, I don't care. It doesn't change anything about our dynamic that I'm her mom. It just, now my daughter will call me before every date. Now my daughter, when she goes out and she comes home, she calls me. Now if something is going on and something happened, she was telling me stuff in elementary school all the time. Like she'd have friends in school. So mom, what if school got in trouble selling marijuana out of his locker? And I don't understand. And I was like, okay. Like stuff that the school wouldn't make me aware of,
Yes.
she was aware of. And I remember saying to them, I'm like, it's kind of weird that I'm getting my information from a 7-year-old. And you guys have my 7-year-old for 8 hours. We're gonna have to do that. Yeah. Because my child is coming home going, what is going on? So me and her just are super, super, super close. She's 25. I love that. And she sings too. She's a tattoo artist. She's an apprentice. So she has been doing that. She also like paints and draws and stuff. Funny story about my daughter and being a tattoo artist. And I love telling this story. In elementary school, recess and lunch, she would get paid a quarter by different people in classrooms, in different classrooms, to take a pen or marker or whatever. Whatever they wanted her to draw, she would draw it on. Yeah. I'm away in Vegas working on the pirate show at Treasure Island. So I'm there. My mom calls me. She goes, so, you know, Kai had a little bit of a issue at school today. And I'm like, oh no, what happened? Because I'm like, I don't know what happened. And she's like, well, you know, a couple of parents got upset because she went to school and she started drawing on their arms because the kids wanted their own versions of tattoos and the parents didn't want the kids to have ink pen on them. She's like, so you're gonna have to talk to her. And I was like, okay. So I talked to her and I was like, I heard about what happened. And she's like, they asked me, they paid me a quarter, huh? And inside I'm laughing because I'm like, she's literally got a job right now.
Yeah.
She's like, they came to me. And I was like, okay, so let's not do that. So fast forward to now, the fact that people are still coming to her for tattoos, I'm like, you knew it. Like,
It was,
she
yeah,
knew what she was going to do, like early on.
it's awesome.
So, I mean, the girl is wonderful. I don't know what else to say.
That's a great story. Are you related to Alyssa Rashad? Because I see some Debbie Allen. I met Alyssa Rashad at the grocery store, and she was so quiet and soft spoken. Like I see, like if they ever decide to do like a Cosby thing or whatever, you could definitely play for Alyssa Rashad, man. I see it
down, but do you understand that in high school, that's what my friends would call me? They'd call me Mrs. Cosby all day. I walked through a mall one time and he was like, Mrs. Cosby, some random person, Mrs. Cosby, I've always loved you. And I'm like, I'm not Felicia Rashad. But I heard it. I've heard it so much. My sisters will say, like, they showed me the Tyler Perry movie and they were like, Tyren, you're in Tyler Perry's new movie. And I was like, what? Where? And they're like, there you go, Felicia Rashad. There you go. And I was like, there she is. Literally had someone, I think it was last year, I posted something up there like, it's very Felicia Rashad of you. I love it. I have no problem with it. I've heard it for the longest time, so I'm not offended. I'm not. I mean, she's classy and beautiful.
Yes.
They're the same, and they both are extremely talented.
Very.
Yes.
Very. She doesn't get enough flowers, man. Her and Debbie are just Tony Award winning.
Everything. Yes.
Man, and how can people reach you? I mean, this has been great.
Dude, my Instagram is official Tyren Perry.
Yes.
And the same for Facebook.
All right.
So if you want to find me on both of those, that's cool. I'm also on TikTok. Same name.
Okay.
It's all pretty much the same. Official Tyren Perry. And yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure. You're really funny and you're great, and I appreciate your time so much.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for inviting me. I actually think what you're doing is really cool. When I got your email, I did not know what to expect from it, and when I read it, and you were like, "I like to give people their flowers," and at first I was like, "Let me see who this is," and then I went, I'm like, "Oh no, he's actually serious. That is so sweet." So I really, really appreciate it. I think it's really a good thing that you're doing, because it's not that we don't love our craft. It takes time sometimes. It's a hill. So to know that people actually still care and they are actually curious about what you did, and then to even acknowledge what you did is very cool. So thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up with a great podcast, sir. Thank you.
I appreciate you so much. And I just want to give you your flowers by saying, thank you for being a part of my childhood. Thank you for being one of my celebrity crushes. And I'm telling you, when I realized who you were, I was like, yo, that's crazy. And but thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And I wish you all the success on your podcast. Keep it up.
I appreciate it.
Great rest of your weekend.
Yes, you too.
And
do the same.
Keep in touch. You don't have to disappear.
Okay, I will. Definitely will. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right. Ciao.
Ciao.